SSR Genos is the announced LSSR for May, or as Moon10 has dubbed him, Unrelenting Super Transformer Genos. That's quite a mouthful, don't you think? However, this raises the question, if you're not going to get Goro Goro, should I pull for Genos instead? Today, I'll be going through everything you need to know about Genos, as well as my personal preferences and suggestions on whether to pull for him or not. So, the pros for Genos is that he'll be the strongest AoE DPS unit in the game, even stronger than Goketsu. This is due to his damage scaling from his HP, much like Watchdog Man. This will be until Bomb comes out, which should be around October, as his core will counter Genos' DPS. He's one of the only few high-tech LSSRs available, so he will be great to invest for your training center, as you'll eventually want 2 of each type of unit to become your leaders. He can also fill the high-tech slot for Bomb's core, which is pretty neat. He absolutely dominates in PvP, so be prepared to be annihilated by him, as he will become the crowned king of PvP. This has no relevance to the actual Esper unit king whatsoever, it's just conveniently a play on words. And he synergizes well with Goro Goro and Watchdog Man, as they both buff Genos' HP stat, ultimately making him deal even more damage as he'll become a frickin' nuke. However, there are a few cons with him. He's highly regarded as a whale unit, as you need to invest a lot, and I mean a lot, of Star Ascension cards onto him in order to maximize the amount of damage he can produce. So basically your whole account should be centered towards him. I will provide the Star Ascension card calculations later on in the video. He's surprisingly not as strong in Life Clash, since you cannot apply any additional HP stats on him. So the best you can do is put all of your HP runes and sets on him to make him somewhat viable. His metaspan will only be 5 months, since he'll be heavily countered by Bomb's core due to his shields. And the most terrible thing about him is that after his release, game-changing units such as Red Mosquito Girl and Awakened Tatsumaki will be released. So I highly recommend for free-to-play and low spenders such as myself to please save your black tickets and endure the pain caused by Genos for a few months. Alright, so now let's go through his attack skills. So for his basic attack, he attacks a single target, dealing damage by 180% off his attack. His ultimate attack attacks all targets, dealing damage based on 24% of his max HP, and has a 70% chance to burn the main target and its surrounding allies for 1 turn, which is based on 70% of his attack. He will also reduce his max HP by 30% until the end of the turn. Now his ultimate attack, which you need your keepsake for, he attacks all targets, dealing damage based on 32% of his max HP, and has a 70% chance to burn the main target and its surrounding allies for 2 turns, which is based on 90% of his attack. He will also reduce his max HP by 20% until the end of the turn, so having his keepsake makes him even more powerful. Now on to his passives. If Genos dies, he'll be granted Unyielding. He will explode and deal bonus damage based on 160% of his attack, and he will revive with 50% of his HP the next turn. For his extreme passive, it's the exact same as his regular passive, except his explosion gets buffed from 160 to 180% of his attack, and his revived health is buffed from 50 to 75% of his HP, so he's a pretty good unit for survivability. Regarding his Uber passive, which requires his keepsake and 5-star awakening, I currently don't have access to that type of information, so my prediction is that his explosion damage is buffed to around 200% attack, and he's revived for 90% of his HP. What I do know is that he can be granted an extra Unyielding if you unlock his page 3 talent, which I will go through right now. So, for his talent page, Unyielding unlocks at page 3. However, I've heard that you need to upgrade the actual talent of the Unyielding buff to level 4 to gain that extra Unyielding effect, so I'd like to confirm that when he comes out. For his damage sigils, I'd recommend 2 sword and 2 piercing sigils, and for his support sigils, I'd recommend focusing on vitality sigils to maximize his HP. One limit breaking Genos, upgrading to 4 stars should be fine, as he's not as important to upgrade to 5 stars instantly. But if you have the materials and Omni Shards to do so, then you can 5-star him, but nothing more after that. For his awakening, getting him up to 3-star awakening to attain his crit and crit damage buffs is perfectly fine. If you want to become even more powerful, then you can 4-star his awakening to attain his crush rate and make him shred even more. But if you're pulling for his keep safe, then I wouldn't bother trying to upgrade him any further. However, if you are pulling for his keep safe, which I only recommend whales to do so please don't anyone else, then you can 5-star awaken him, and as he will also unlock these uber passive, which will be very good. Now we'll go into his gear setups. So ideally you would want a prisoner set, as the crits enhance his damage even more, or you can use a broken set. However, I do not recommend to put a knight set on him, as the bonus damage of the knight sets are based on attack and not HP, which Genos needs as much HP as he can get in order to become a powerhouse. Now for his gear setup, you'd want HP as the main stat. However, for his substats, you could go either one or two ways. You can either purely go for damage by having 1 crit gear, 1 crit damage gear, and 2 HP bonus gears to maximize the amount of damage he outputs. Or you could be fast and replace the 2 HP bonus gears with speed. Personally, I would recommend to use the balance of both of these builds, so I would have 1 speed and 1 HP bonus gear, since you don't want it to be too slow, as it will allow enemies to build up their buffs before Genos can ult. And for his buff gears, all of them should have HP as their main stat, with your hero gear having HP bonus and speed substats, for your high tech gear having HP bonus and crit, and for your S-class gear having HP bonus and damage rate. However, on the rare chance that you do get an augmentation from upgrading your S-class gear, the crit augmentation is the greatest, as it will provide bonus damage whenever you crit. However, getting augmentations such as burn and unyielding isn't the end of the world, as they also help buff Genos. The unyielding augmentation provides a tenacity shield once Genos has used up all of his unyielding. Now, we will be going through why many consider Genos as a whale unit. Ideally, you would want to use all of your Star Ascension cards on Genos, so reverting a lot of them from other units is a viable option. I provided calculations on if you manage to get a certain amount of stars for each type of badge and gear. These calculations are read as the first value being how many Star Ascension cards you would need for his exclusive badge, and the second value is how many Star Ascension cards you'll need to upgrade his gears, which are 4 gears and 3 buff gears, being 7 in total. So, if you manage to upgrade everything to 3 stars, you'll need 105 Star Ascension cards. If you manage to upgrade everything to 4 stars, you'll need 225 Star Ascension cards. If you manage to upgrade everything to 5 stars, you'll need 409 Star Ascension cards. And finally, for all our whales out there, if you manage to upgrade everything to 6 stars, you'll need 657 Star Ascension cards. These increments are pretty insane. However, for the average player, a good invested Genos would probably require you to invest at least 400 Star Ascension cards into him. But you'll never beat the whales in your servers, since they got an unlimited supply of Star Ascension cards, so you'll never beat them during PvP. Now to summarize the main takeaways from this banner. He is a whale unit. He requires massive amounts of investment, and he will need to become the main unit of your account, so you need to make him be able to work with your lineups, and all your lineups have to be based around Genos. He will be the best DPS unit before the end of the year, so having him as your main AoE DPS unit is pretty good. Because of this, I'd only recommend pulling for him if you want to be competitive in PvP. For free-to-play players, PvE is much more important than PvP, so I highly recommend skipping him. Even if you're not buying the hero backup stick for Guru Guru, I'd still recommend to skip and hold your black tickets for RMG and ATT, as they are more essential for PvE content. And finally, only pull for him now and not during his rerun, as once his rerun is out, Bomb will be released soon after, so Genos' meta will only last for another 2 months. So, should you pull for Genos? For free-to-play low spenders, I recommend to highly skip this unit and save your black tickets. For mid spenders, this is a good pull, but only really pull for him if you want to be competitive during PvP. And for whales out there, this is a must pull unit. This will make you advance your account big time. Me personally, I'm going to skip this unit to save for the essential Esper units, such as RMG and ATT, to synergize well with my Goro Goro. And before I end the video off, I just want to show you my updated timeline and who I will be going for. So I've decided that I will pull for Watchdog Man during his rerun, as he synergizes very well with Goro Goro. and I pray to the Moontoon gods to pull him under 100 summons. Because of this, if I get unlucky, then I'll be pulling RMG and Bomb on their debuts, whereas for ATT, Sonic and Galewind, I'll be pulling during their reruns. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and feel free to comment down below on any questions about my video or possible future content. Until next time.